Yes. Only two of you today? What? What about the rest? So what we were doing? Which part of the chapter? Tell me. We had finished. What was the last answer that we had written? Prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. So today we have to start with, did we complete with unicellular, multicellular organisms? Check. Unicellular, what was the previous question? Check what you wrote. Compounded electron. Okay, and the next you wrote is prokaryotic. Do you remember what was prokaryotic and eukaryotic? What is meant by a prokaryotic organism? Prokaryotic cell means what? What did we study the other day? A prokaryotic cell is one which has no nuclear membrane, and the nucleus is not well developed. Okay, so we start from that concept again. A concept of prokaryotic and eukaryotic that we had studied. Today we are going to study with the cell organelles also. So when we are talking about a concept of prokaryotic and eukaryotic, we studied if in a cell the chromatin is spread out in the entire cell like a bacteria, that type of a cell is always known as a prokaryotic cell. But if I am talking about a cell, something like this, where the cell has got well-defined membranes. The cell has got well-defined membranes, and this cell has got a well-formed nuclear region. The cell has got a well-formed nuclear region. If this is what it is this a prokaryotic cell? No, this is always known as a eukaryotic cell. Then what is the difference? A prokaryotic cell does not have a well-formed nucleus and the nuclear membrane, and the eukaryotic cell will always have a well-formed nuclear membrane. So now in the next page of your notebook, you will draw this diagram. Start drawing this diagram part by part. I will ask you to draw not the entire thing at a time, so that you are able to draw the diagram very neat, nice and proper. Come on, take out your pencils and in a new page, a fresh page, start drawing this diagram. How did you draw? With a pen? No. Where's your pencil? Please drawing diagram with a pen. With a pencil, almost about 10 to 12 lines. What should be the size of the diagram that you draw? The diagram should be big. 10 to 12 lines also is small. You will not be able to fit in all the parts of the cell later. The cell is quite enough parts. So minimum this much, the diagram. Towards the left little bit, this much. So how many lines check? Till here your diagram should be. Minimum, I think 12, 14, 13, 14 lines minimum. If it's a ruled book. So get an estimate how big the diagram should be. 13, 14 lines with a pencil. With a pencil to draw. Done, no? Now let us start with this. So we have learned that if a cell is like this with a well-formed nucleus, this will always be known as a eukaryotic cell. What is the meaning? Eukaryotic cell always have a well-formed nucleus. They will have a nuclear envelope, nuclear membrane, chromatin material, nucleolus. So the nucleus is well-formed. Before we start studying the structure of the cell, something more that we have to understand. We have understood the complexity of a cell. Prokaryotic, eukaryotic. But then, can we come across that all organisms that we know, they have the same complexity? If I have to talk about amoeba, if I have to talk about a paramecium, if I have to talk about the insect, and if I have to talk about a frog and a fish and human, is the story the same? No. Then what is the difference? The difference is, if I talk about an amoeba, and then if I am comparing the amoeba and the paramecium and the chlamydomonas, I may talk about all these examples. What is common in amoeba and paramecium and chlamydomonas? What is common? They all are made up of one single cell. But if I am now talking about, yes, based on that I can group them. But if I am talking about a fish, I am talking about a plant, I am talking about an insect, and I am talking about an elephant, what is common in each of them? They are multicellular. What are these type of organisms? These are multicellular. And what about this? They are unicellular. So then what is the difference between a unicellular and a multicellular organism? If it is a unicellular organism, that one single cell will be carrying out digestion also, gaseous exchange also, excretion also, transport also, everything. But if it is a multicellular organism, then different cells, different tissues, different organs are there for doing the various jobs. So now, along with some examples, we'll have to know what are some of the other differences. Is there any other difference if I talk about a multicellular and a unicellular organism? In case of unicellular organism, the processes are very simple. In case of multicellular organism, the processes would be comparatively complex. So now that you have drawn the diagram on the previous page, just complete with this concept, then we come to this. The previous page down there, after prokaryotic, eukaryotic, complete one small difference between unicellular and multicellular organisms. Make it a small table there again. Unicellular, multicellular organisms. Unicellular organism and the other side multicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms, other side multicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms, right? The first point. For unicellular organisms, the first point. Under unicellular organisms, they are made up of only one cell. They are made up of only one cell. They are made up of only one cell. Other side. They are made up of few or many cells. They are made up of few or many cells. They are made up of few or many cells. Other side, unicellular again, number 2. Unicellular number 2. All vital functions, number 2, unicellular. All vital functions like nutrition, all vital functions like nutrition, respiration, transportation, nutrition, respiration, transportation are carried out. Nutrition, respiration, transportation, etc. are carried out by the single cell. Other side. Multicellular. Multicellular. They show division of labor. They show division of labor. That is, they show division of labor. L-A-B-O-U-R. They show division of labor. That is, separate group of cells and tissues. Separate group of cells and tissues carry out digestion, respiration, excretion, etc. Okay, so that is all about the concept of unicellular and multicellular. Now we start talking about the cell. Now that I have drawn this cell here, we are going to understand the cell organelles one after the other. So we are going to start with the cell membrane, also known as the plasma membrane. So label this part now. As and when we learn the different parts, you are going to just keep labeling them. So when you label, keep space enough so that one after the other you keep on fitting. So we are talking about the cell membrane, plasma membrane or the cell membrane. That's the first part that we're going to learn. So we are talking about the cell organelles. What are organelles? Organelles means the parts of the cell. What are organelles? Organelles are the parts of a cell which has got definite functions. If I ask you, what are some important parts of our body? Performing what function? Coordination. Another? Organs of our body, bolo. Heart. Performing what function?
Blood circulation.
Exchange or pumping of the blood all throughout the body. So if I talk about some vital organs of our body, stomach, intestine for digestion, storage of food, kidney for filtration of the blood, brain for coordination, heart for pumping of the blood, liver for so many different type of functions, breaking down the waste substances, breaking down the body cells. That means all these parts of the body that we are talking about has got some of the other important functions. So also, now that we talk about the cell also has got some of the other important functions. The first part, the first cell organelle that we start with would be the cell membrane. The first cell organelle that we are talking about is the cell membrane. What is the other name for the cell membrane? Other name for the cell membrane is plasma membrane. Now, the plasma membrane, what is it made up of? What is its composition to understand? Composition is, it is made up of lipids and proteins. What is lipids? Lipids means fats. Lipids and proteins. So that's the reason you would write it is made up of lipoprotein. It is made up of lipoprotein. So now the same plasma membrane, if I try to see the plasma membrane in a detail, how does this structure look like? And we are saying lipids and proteins. How does it look like? This entire plasma membrane has got two layers of fats. This entire plasma membrane has got two layers of fats. And in between the layers of fat, there are some layers of proteins like this. In between the layers of fat, there are some layers of proteins like this. Understood? It is almost like a sandwich, where this is the protein layer and this is the lipid layer. Understanding? The lipid layers are almost like the breads of the sandwich, upper, lower. And in between, what is there? Some filling, whatever we put. So the proteins act as those filling. No, the stuffing. And then the two layers of fats. So here we are talking about what is meant by lipoprotein. Two layers of lipids and one layer of protein. So now, if I say that it is made up of lipoproteins, what do you understand? Should the structure be very rigid or it should be flexible, soft? What do you understand? Now that I talk about it is made up of lipoproteins, definitely it will not be very hard. It will not be rigid because the moment I talk about fats and lipids, fatty substances are always softer. No? So they are always softer. So what are some of the characteristics or features, structure? I am mentioning about the structure. What about the structural features, structure of the cell membrane? What are some of the structural features of the cell membrane? Yes, the first structural feature of the cell membrane that we understand is it is flexible. Why flexible? Because it is made up of lipoprotein. Any type of a membrane made up of lipids can never be hard and rigid, always softer. So sometimes you get this question, why is the plasma membrane flexible? Because it is made up of two layers of lipids and layers of proteins. What is the second feature to understand so far the plasma membrane we are talking about? The plasma membrane or the cell membrane is known as semi-permeable. Semi-permeable, also known as differentially permeable. Semi-permeable, also known as differentially permeable. What is the meaning? Differentially permeable matlab? First of all, try understanding what is the meaning of the word permeable. Permeable matlab kya hai? Can allow transport possible. I think of a plastic sheet. Transport hoga. Through the plastic sheet, कुछ transport होगा. Is transport possible through the plastic sheet? No. तो ये permeable नहीं है. I talk about through the paper. Will the process of transport happen? Yes, if I take some liquids, possible होगा ना. I take some cloth. and I put some solution or some substances mix, sand and water mix, I put it on a cloth bag, transport hoga? Yes. So now I understand that there are certain substances, membranes which allow transport. There are certain substances which does not allow transport. What is the meaning of differentially permeable? What is the meaning of semi-permeable? Check on this word, semi, meaning partially. It will allow transport, but not all. I may think of there are different type of molecules all over. There are different type of molecules all over surrounding the cell. It is allowing the transport of this, but it is not allowing the transport of this. It is allowing the movement of these red molecules, but not allowing the movement of the black molecules. Q, because this plasma membrane has got small pores on it. The plasma membrane has got small pores on it. For an example, the plasma membrane has got small pores on it. And if I say that this is the molecule, will it pass through? No, this molecule cannot pass through. This is the molecule, will it pass through? Yes, this molecule can easily pass through the pore, but this molecule cannot pass through. Why? Because it is getting stuck. This molecule is bigger than the pore, it is getting stuck. But this molecule is almost the size of the pore, it passes through. Why is the plasma membrane known to be semi-permeable? The plasma membrane is known to be semi-permeable because it can allow the movement of only certain substances and does not allow the movement of some. Understood? Let us write one question. Put the heading there, plasma membrane. That's the first organelle we are studying. Plasma membrane, that's the first organelle we are studying. And take one question there. Why is the Put the head one after the other as we study the organelles. Put the head, plasma membrane, and take one question. Why is the plasma membrane known to be semi-permeable? Why is the plasma membrane known to be semi-permeable? Answer. Why is the plasma membrane known to be semi-permeable? Answer. The plasma membrane is semi-permeable because it has pores. The plasma membrane is semi-permeable because it has pores which allow the movement of certain molecules like water, and do not allow the movement of bigger solute molecules, does not allow the movement of bigger solute molecules, and does not allow the movement of bigger solute molecules. What is the function? We now try to understand. What would be the function of the plasma membrane? What are some of the functions of the plasma membrane? Some of the functions of the plasma membrane. Number one, it holds the cell contents together. It holds the cell contents. Meaning what? If this plasma membrane is broken at certain points, say suppose I understand that the plasma membrane is broken like this, torn like this, damaged like this. Will this cell function? No, because the cytoplasm, which is actually the gel-like substance inside the cell, they will all start flowing out. The cell is now damaged. If the cell membrane is damaged, the cell is also damaged. So since I'm talking about the cell membrane, one feature to understand, the cell membrane is present both in plant and animal cells. The cell membrane is present both in plant and animal cells. Both the plant and the animal cells have got the cell membrane. Both the plant and animal cells, they have got the cell membrane. And now I'm saying the function. What is the function? Number one, holds the cell contents together. Number two, what would be the function of the next one? Allows transport of substances. Allows transport of substances in and out of the cell. Allows the transport of substances. So this plasma membrane will allow the transport of molecules this way also and this way also. Substances can move inside the cell, allows transport of substances. Plasma membrane always allows the transport of substances in and out of the cell. In and out of the cell. Now, this plasma membrane that we are talking about, the plasma membrane, where is it present? What is its special function, structure, etc. But this plasma membrane or the limiting wall that we are talking about in comparison, if I have to draw a plant cell, say suppose. If I have to draw a plant cell, just now I mentioned that the plasma membrane is present both in the plant and the animal cell. Now, if this is the plant cell, then where should I draw the plasma membrane? This is the big vacuole. This is the nuclear region that the plant cell has. And where would be the plasma membrane? Or what is the other? In case of the animal cell, in case of the plant cell, this is the plasma membrane. Then what about this outermost layer? This outermost layer is known as the cell. Plant cell, don't draw the diagram now, that I will ask you to draw later. So I am talking about the first cell organelle cell membrane. Now with reference, I compare. What is the second cell organelle we study? The second cell organelle that we are studying is cell wall. Where is cell wall present? Present only in cell wall is present only in plant cells. Cell wall is present only in the plant cells. Composition, just like cell membrane. What is the composition? The composition of the cell wall is cellulose. What is cellulose? Did you ever come across this word cellulose? Akina? Never? Cellulose. Cellulose is rigid, tough or flexible. It is rigid, very hard. So when we are talking about the cell membrane is flexible because it is made up of glycoproteins. Now that I am comparing that what is the other membrane that a cell can have? Yes, plant cells have got the cell wall. And what is the composition of the cell wall? The composition of the cell wall is, don't draw the plant cell now. Are you drawing it? Are you drawing? Don't draw now. I will ask you separate to draw. Cell wall. So I said the cell wall is present only in the plant cells, and what is its composition? Cellulose. So that is one difference. Second is talking about the plant cell. What are some of the functions of the plant cell? Some of the functions of the plant cell. Number one, provides rigidity. Provides rigidity to plant parts. Provides rigidity to plant parts. Meaning what? The plant cell wall, since it is rigid, just now I mentioned the cellulose is made up, is nothing but a sugar, type of a sugar. And this sugar lining is quite rigid. It is quite rigid. So that's the reason it provides shape and rigidity to the plant parts. Then next is, second function is, it is freely permeable. It is freely permeable. What is the meaning of freely permeable? Yeah, the word freely permeable clearly gives us an idea that this cell wall must be allowing the movement of everything in and everything out. The plant cell wall helps in the movement of every substance in and every substance out of the cell. So right now, if I ask you write two differences between the cell membrane and the cell wall, what should you write? Write two differences between the cell membrane and cell wall. What should you write? Cell membrane present in both plant and animal cells, cell wall only in the plant cells. Composition, what will you write?
Cellulose.
Cell wall, cellulose, cell membrane, lipoprotein. Structure, what will you write? Cell wall rigid, cell membrane flexible. Permeability, what will you write?
Cell membrane,
Cell wall freely permeable. Clear? So these are some of the points and some functions to write. What are some of the functions of the cell wall? Provides rigidity, gives shape to the cell parts. Next, we try looking into one more cell organelle, and the next cell organelle that we are going to talk about would be the endoplasmic reticulum. Let us now draw this part of the diagram. Now you continue with the diagram a little bit more. Continue with the diagram a little bit more. Just this type of tube-like structures we should draw. Draw. Neat. Keep space, enough space should be still there for so many other organelles to draw. Done? Now we talk about the smooth and the rough endoplasmic reticulum. See here, we are talking about the next organelle. The third organelle that we talk about is endoplasmic reticulum. The third organelle that we talk about is endoplasmic reticulum. Now this endoplasmic reticulum has got a system of tubular structures. The tubular structure. This entire network, this entire endoplasmic reticulum is a framework of tubular structures. They are a network of tubular structures, a framework of tubular structures. From where to where? The network of tubular structure. From where to where? Can I say the network of tubular structure is from the nuclear membrane till the cell membrane? Yes. So this endoplasmic reticulum, they form a framework of tubular structures, sometimes in the cytoplasm or sometimes connecting the nuclear membrane to the cell membrane, meaning spanning the entire region of the cell, spanning the entire width of the cell. So that's the reason it is known as a framework, meaning it is this framework or it is this tubular region because of which the cell cannot collapse. It is just like a network of bones that we have, or a framework of bones that we have in our body. Even if I talk about a very thin person, flesh hardly anything, muscles hardly anything, then also will that person ever shrink? No, bony framework is still existing. Same like this, I talk about this cell. This cell, it has got a framework of tubular structures. What is this framework of tubular structure known as the endoplasmic reticulum? This endoplasmic reticulum is also responsible for giving the shape to the cell. The cell will never collapse because of this framework. Okay. But see here, I have drawn the frame, I have drawn this structure in two different ways. One, this way with some red dots, and the other one without these red dots. So what are these red dots? Actually, these red dots that I draw, this is another type of a cell organelle, and this cell organelle is known as the ribosomes. These cell organelles are known as ribosomes. So if I am, don't draw the ribosome in your figure. That way you have to draw separate. So the rough endoplasmic reticulum that I am drawing, what is this rough endoplasmic reticulum? The tubular network which has got ribosomes attached. So if the tubular network has got ribosomes attached, then what type of endoplasmic reticulum? Rough endoplasmic reticulum. If the tubular network does not have ribosomes attached, then what we term them as smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Where are they present? Are they present in the same type of cell? They are, but if I talk about certain cells, or if I talk about in certain cell based on what the function, the number of RER will be more, and in certain cells based on what the function, number of SER can be more. For example, if I talk about the muscle cells, they require too much of protein. From where protein? Ribosomes are always meant for producing protein. The muscle cells, they require too much of protein because constantly we are walking, running, jumping, talking. So the muscle cells require a lot of protein. So this RER will be majorly present in the muscle cells, stomach cells, intestinal cells, where protein is required in large amount. Then what about this one, SER? SER majorly helps in making of protein, lipids, fats. So SER would be again present in cells, but doing what? Manufacturing the lipid molecules. So they may be present in the liver cells, they may be present in the skin cells, where the formation of the lipids more. They will be present in almost all cells, but depending on what the function, RER will be bit more in number, SER will be bit more in number. They are not present in the same numbers in every cell. Here I am drawing 1 just to understand. But some cells may have almost about 50 RER and maybe 10 SER that way. What is the function of this endoplasmic reticulum? I said number one, they provide framework to the cell. Framework of tubular structures I'm writing here. So I would say that what is that one function of the endoplasmic reticulum? Yes, they provide framework to the cell. Because of this endoplasmic reticulum, the cell will never squeeze and collapse. What next? They help in transport. They help in transport of substances in and out of the cell. So they help in transport of substances in and out of the cell. Meaning they help in transport of substances. How transport? If I talk about this rough endoplasmic reticulum, I say the rough endoplasmic reticulum produces proteins because they have got ribosomes attached. So this rough endoplasmic reticulum will form bubbles like this, and inside what is there? Proteins. The proteins will move around the entire cell, and yes, the proteins may come near the cell membrane to be released out of the cell. That also may happen. So can I say that this type of endoplasmic reticulum, the tubular network, they help in transport of substances? Yes. The transport of substances. So, what is the other function? They help in secretion. Secretion means production, synthesis, production, secretion of proteins and lipids. Proteins by the RER and lipids by the SER. And the last function we will write, help in this SER and RER, I said they help in transportation, so that was the next function that we had written, and they also help in synthesis of proteins and lipids. So also they help in membrane formation. Membrane formation when? In a new cell. So what are some general functions of the endoplasmic reticulum? These are some general functions. They provide framework, shape to the cell. They help in transport, they produce proteins, lipids, and they help in membrane formation of a new cell. They help in membrane formation of new cells. They help in membrane formation of new cells. Okay, they help in membrane formation of new cells. But since we are talking about endoplasmic reticulum, something more that we'll have to learn. Once you write down this, again, one difference you have to write. Difference between RER and SER. Complete with that. Difference between RER and SER, you'll have to make a table again. Make it a bit fast. Let us complete with this on given here. These are the 4 points that I mentioned for the general functions. What are the general functions? Then you can write this. But what are the differences, which is a very common question in your paper? Differentiate between RER and SER. Write down that form table. Make a table there, RER, SER. Under RER, what is RER? What is the full form of RER? Rough endoplasmic reticulum. Write down under rough endoplasmic reticulum. These tubular network consists of under RER. This tubular network consists of ribosomes. Check the spelling. Ribosomes on their outer surface. Consists of ribosomes on their outer surface. Consists of ribosomes on their outer surface. Other side, SER, they do not contain ribosomes. Number 2. For RER you write. They produce proteins. For SER you write. They produce lipids and fat molecules. Third point you write their location. For RER, present in large numbers in muscle cells, present in large numbers in muscle cells. Other side, present in large numbers in the skin cells, present in large numbers in the skin cells, present in large numbers in the skin cells, liver cells, etc. Okay, now you go to your textbook and tick these three organelles that we have finished today: plasma membrane, cell wall, and endoplasmic reticulum, and just go through. You will go through from the table first. There's a table there. There's a table there in your book. Go back. There's a table there. वो table पहले पढ़ो. Then you will go and read the paragraphs in the text. The table is a ready reference, structure, location, function. Go through the table. Which are the three organelles we completed today? Cell membrane, cell wall, endoplasmic reticulum. Read structure, function, and tell me if there is anything which is not clear. Read cell wall, cell membrane, structure, function. Read all the points. Anything that is not clear, clarify. Read whether the points are clear or not. Tell me. If anything is there, any word not understanding, you have to clarify. So the next class I'll take up another 4 organelles. We'll have to go through. Check. Are these points clear to you? Cell membrane, cell wall, endoplasmic reticulum. Clear? Clear hai? So let us just finish with one more. Let us talk about one more organelle. We are talking about the endoplasmic reticulum. Very close to the endoplasmic reticulum. Now complete this. Very close to the endoplasmic reticulum, there will be one more cell organelle arranged in this form of some plate-like structures or some disc-like structures. So what are these organelles known as? These organelles which are present in the form of a plate-like structure or a disc-like structure, this is known as the Golgi complexes. This is known as Golgi complexes or the Golgi bodies. Now this Golgi complexes or the Golgi bodies, if I talk about this organelle in the plant cells, these are known as dictyosomes. The same organelle in the plant cells, they are known as dictyosomes. Then how does this Golgi complexes appear? See there, I have labeled, I have drawn this. So what will be the name of this organelle? The name of this organelle would be Golgi complexes or Golgi bodies. Now, these Golgi bodies that we are talking about, what are some of the special features? The structure. If I am talking about the structure, the Golgi body consists of some flattened sac-like structures. They consist of some flattened sac-like structures, and these flattened sac-like structures are known as what? These are known as cisternae. What are these flattened sac-like structures known as? Cisternae. And they are always in the form of stacks. They are always arranged. The sacs are always, or the cisternae are always arranged in stacks. They are always arranged in a stack. So they are always in the form of some bundles, as it stack-like structures. 10, 12, 14 always together. What about their functions now? What are some of their common functions? I talk about the Golgi complexes. What do they do? They are always there in the cell to secrete variety of enzymes, pigments, and hormones. So these Golgi complexes that we know, they are always meant for synthesizing variety of enzymes, almost 40 different type of enzymes. Variety of different type of proteins and enzymes and hormones they are constantly producing. Is that all? No. They produce hydrolytic or digestive enzymes. They produce hydrolytic or digestive enzymes which are packed in vesicles. Known as lysosomes. These are known as lysosomes. So I am talking about the Golgi complex, and two special features of the Golgi complex is that yes, the Golgi complex also would be in the form of some sac-like structures arranged near the nucleus, near the endoplasmic reticulum. What are they producing? They are producing variety of enzymes, proteins, pigments, etc. But one type of, if I have to understand just a minute more, now if they are producing variety of enzymes, proteins and pigments, I would understand yes, there are so many such type of packets that they are producing, but one type of a packet that they produce will always contain some digestive enzymes. What is the meaning? They can destroy microbes, pathogens, or digest food. So what type of these packets, what are these packets known as? These packets are known as lysosomes. Okay. So read Golgi also in your textbook, and we will continue from this concept again the next class. Okay.